Welcome back, Red Spotters. I'm your host, Alexis J. Soto, joined this week by David Francisco. This is the last show that he and I will be doing together for the year of 2021, and it has been quite the year. We really did take all of our weekly recaps as far as Marvel Disney Plus shows. This is the year that Disney Plus shows, or Marvel Disney Plus shows, debuted, and we talked about them for as much as we could week to week, and I had a great time doing that. And as far as today is concerned, well, we are going to be discussing our favorite shows in general of 2021, both old and new. Primarily, of course, just to have something of a top 10 of the year at the end of the year, which was 2021, because whenever the 2021 list will happen, I just discussed with David before we began the recording about where he was with his favorite movies of 2021, and I'm working on that every day, and I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to get to the top 10 of 2021 fairly soon. Of course, for the long-time listeners, you would, remember, of course, that we haven't had a top 10 of 2020. I think a lot of people would like to forget that year even happened. But as it turns out, we are finally committing, and we're going to be able to do that. The next episode, Kyle, Peter, and myself will sit down and we'll tell you our favorite movies from the year 2020, just as 2021 comes to an end. This is without question the longest we've delayed a show like this, so that's what we have going today on Red Spotlight number 369. Before we get to that, David, let me ask you, how has this year been like for you, and what do you make of all of the shows that we've been doing this year? You can involve the ones that you and I have done recapping these Disney Plus shows, or just in general. What have you made of this year? This is your last time you'll be on a show for 2021. What have you made this year, not just with ourselves, but then also with movies and TV shows? Because quite frankly, from my perspective, it's been fucking amazing.
I haven't seen as many movies as I wanted to, sadly. So I feel like I can't really say much about them. It's just mostly been like the big blockbuster popular ones. But from what I saw, a couple were just okay, really. And then there were some that it was just mostly just flat out fun, like Malignant and Free Guy. Those were so great.
Yeah.
In terms of shows, there've been, honestly, I think TV shows have been so great, especially from last year and this year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to talk about some of the ones that I've wrote down, some of the ones I saw. Just to give you an idea, I saw 37 movies and I saw 43 TV shows. So that should give you an idea. I was like, why I'm so excited.
Wait. Say it one more time.
I've seen 37 movies this year and 43 TV shows this year.
37 movies, that's quite a bit. A lot of people barely see 5 a year.
I know.
5 new movies a year. Let's just be real about that.
That bothers me so much because they always say, "Oh, movies aren't good," or aren't getting good nowadays, or it's like, "Oh, this has been a horrible year. Only some movies have been fine."
You only see 5. Of course, it would be horrible, and it would depend on which 5.
And not only that, though, they only see the big ones, the ones that I'm seeing right now.
Marvel.
They
only see Marvel.
Whatever is big name coming on or anything like that. It's just I saw, I don't know how many, I must have seen 60 something at one year. You can't just say some of those are good. No fucking way at all. And so it's just, and if they want to say that the blockbusters have been bad, that's totally fine with me, but just don't say cinema or films have been bad. No, that's just not true. Sorry.
Let me run down real quick some movies from this year that I really enjoyed. There is Licorice Pizza by Paul Thomas Anderson. There is Nightmare Alley by Guillermo del Toro. You mentioned Malignant by James Wan. Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar. That was hilarious. Being the Ricardos by Aaron Sorkin. The Mitchells versus the Machines, brought to us by the people, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who won an Oscar previously for Into the Spider-Verse. There is Dune, brought to life by Denis Villeneuve. No Time to Die, the final installment of the Daniel Craig James Bond series, and I think the best of the series so far, by Cary Joji Fukunaga. The Suicide Squad by James Gunn was a tremendous movie that nobody saw. I love Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. I love Luca. By Enrico Casarosa, currently streaming on Disney Plus. Encanto was great. Free Guy, you mentioned. In the Heights. Tick, Tick, Boom. The Green Knight, with Dev Patel, directed by Dave Lowry. Fear Street, all the Fear Street movies, but in particular Fear Street 1978. The Jungle Cruise was good. I like The Matrix. Raya and the Last Dragon. A Quiet Place Part 2. There's Spider-Man No Way Home. Judas and the Black Messiah. The Kingsman. The New Candyman. Last Night in Soho. Cruella. Even the new Conjuring. King Richard. Power of the Dog. Shang-Chi. I personally I didn't hate either Tom and Jerry or Space Jam: A New Legacy. Those aren't good movies by any means, but I didn't hate them.
Some ones that I genuinely just enjoyed. I wouldn't call them great, but Mortal Kombat,
sure,
Without Remorse, The Unholy. I just saw American Underdog yesterday. That one I would say is pretty great. Just because Zachary Levi, I think he's a great actor, and
I see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It always bothers me when people are like, "Good movies aren't good nowadays." And I'm like, "How many movies did you watch?"
Yeah. Well, we know the answer, sadly, is that hardly anybody sees movies, and we can definitely tell. A lot of the films, quite unfortunately, that I mentioned, were box office bombs. Just huge box office bombs.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I think with our show, we've it's been an interesting couple of years. Last year we had to pivot real hard to doing TV and whatever few movies were on streaming, and then this year we didn't do well. We did have a lot of coverage of television shows, in particular Marvel and some others that we've seen, but we've also had to balance that out with so many new movies. And in this last month, oh my God, I don't even know how we've done all of the podcasts that we've done this last month. Like just in December, we went to go see Being the Ricardos, West Side Story, Nightmare Alley, Spider-Man No Way Home, Matrix Resurrections, and The Kingsman. That's 6 movies. And we got reviews for all of those in this month. And I didn't think we would do that. That's pretty fucking impressive. That's, oh my God. Because all of those are big movies, for one reason or the other.
Yeah, for sure.
With, by the way, weekly recaps of Hawkeye. So much that we've been able to do here. So, before we get into, the year in television, I do want to get into some kind of lingering thoughts that we had, whereas Vincent D'Onofrio made his return as Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, in his first Marvel Cinematic Universe, Kevin Feige produced project, which was the season finale of Hawkeye, season 1. And for those that have listened to the conversations held by David and myself, you would know that we have long been skeptical about what exactly it all would mean. I think in terms of how it went down, more or less, that's just kind of how we thought it would happen. And in usual fashion, it leaves 1,000 questions up in the air, and a whole host of, media personalities are kind of like, they're left to their own devices to kind of like figure out, okay, well, what does this mean exactly? And the ultimate question in everybody's mind that we were asking all month long when it came to both, spoilers for both No Way Home and Hawkeye, by the way, when it came to Matt Murdock appearing in No Way Home, and Wilson Fisk in Hawkeye. The ultimate question on anybody and everybody's mind, or our minds, are, well, does this necessarily mean these, while you have the two actors and they're playing it mostly the same way in both of these different projects, does it necessarily confirm that it's the exact same versions that they played in their show Daredevil, the hit Netflix series that was on for 3 seasons? And more to the point, does that retroactively pull the events of that show into the MCU as canon? Those are very important questions. I want to also include this asterisk. To David and to I, as far as, you know, when we have these conversations about what's canon, a couple of distinctions. We don't care, ultimately. We make our own canon. So that's what we have to start off with. And we don't, unlike a lot of people, consider canon to be the end-all, be-all, you know, in terms of whether or not we decide to put our stock or put any kind of value into a television series or a movie. So just to get those real important distinctions out of the way with. As a side note, you will have noticed, if you've been listening to us for an extended period of time of this year, when it came to every single Marvel show that dropped on Disney Plus within the span of their, 6 weeks, the average was 6 weeks. And we saw it coming and we were proven correct every single instance. That the previous Marvel series that was produced by Marvel Entertainment, Jeff Loeb, not at all by Kevin Feige, just that, distinction itself invites questions of canonicity. That's the right word there. And it's a hard word to say for whatever reason. But we were right and proven correct in many different ways, where articles were written out of the woodwork about that particular series, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that had long since been off the air. It's been off the air for over a year now. And yet, every single time there is a new Disney Plus series of any Marvel discussion, they get brought back up into the woodwork, seemingly mostly to tear them down a new one, which was to, once again, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, David, that every single show, there was an article we read about, like, okay, because of what happened in this episode, this proves that S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't canon. And when they say S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't canon, what they're really trying to say is it doesn't matter and you shouldn't care about that show at all. That's all anybody's saying when it comes to these particular hit pieces. So that's why we covered it so much, because it's a show, quite frankly, that David and I quite enjoy. Pretty good, actually. And we talked about it at length last year in 2020. One of the highlights, at least for me. So when these get brought back up, again, I don't want to relitigate the whole issue in its entirety, but I think we've given a lot of great coverage in terms of other positive news items when it comes to the series and really combat against this narrative. But at the same time, Daredevil is kind of getting a little bit of this treatment now where, everyone is a big fan of the series, but there are people that are questioning what is really happening here. Vincent D'Onofrio, as a matter of fact, gave his input in an interview. And while initially the trades ran with the headline that Vincent D'Onofrio confirms that his version of Kingpin is the exact same one from his show in Daredevil. Of course, when you hear that, you think, oh, well, that means that all of the events and the show itself from Netflix actually happened in this MCU canon. It turns out that a lot of those headlines have now been revised because there's been some seemingly pushback, and there's even a video that I shared with David that really questioned a lot of the direct words that Vincent D'Onofrio said, right? So this is what he said here. This is Vincent's words. Obviously, in the show, Hawkeye, he's physically stronger and can take more physical abuse, but emotionally, and as far as the history that was discussed, it was done with an eye on connecting as many dots from Daredevil to Hawkeye as possible, D'Onofrio says. There are obviously things that we can't connect, he paused. For instance, he's stronger. But as far as how I played him and the history that I carry myself from and into Hawkeye, he is the same guy. This is a very frustrating quote. It's so frustrating because, like, okay, if you just read that last bit, yes, he's the same guy. Okay, that's all I need to know. But it's like, you got to think about what he just said there. It's like, yeah, there were some things, for the most part, I consider it in my mind to be the same person. But he brings attention to things that couldn't be connected. And then he also makes a distinction that this quote-unquote version of Kingpin is more physically stronger than what we saw in Daredevil. So, David, I don't know how you feel about this, but it only just brings about more questions than really answers it. Like, this is by as far away a definitive answer as possible. This was not the definitive answer I think people were looking for. So my main question to you is, how do you take these comments, and ultimately, where do you reconcile where the Daredevil show happened in this MCU or not, or if this is even the same guy or not?
So in terms of D'Onofrio's comment, I feel like he just doesn't know. And and this is one thing that I kind of wish, I mean, if they're kind of like forced into saying these kinds of answers, I don't know, but like I really wish they would just kind of be like, I don't know, I can't answer that, or just say what's really on your mind about these kinds of questions.
Instead of gaslighting us?
Yes, especially because, like, you know, for one thing, I don't mind waiting to hear an answer, like, in the show. But also, though, in terms of Daredevil, like, I don't really know what you can do to kind of, like, prove that this is the same person. You know, like, him being stronger kind of does kind of disprove it. But, I mean, there's a way around that. Just wait till later on, till he's on another show or something, and then be like, he got the super soldier serum or something. I don't know. But, like, you know, it's just, people, they want, like, an actual quote from the show being like, yeah, I fought Daredevil before, as like, or something like that. Like, it's just, in terms of Kingpin's character, like, the only reference is going to be Daredevil. But that just means that either he was around or it's talking about the show. And either way, I don't know. I don't think you'll ever get a definitive answer, basically. In any other show or movie with him. I do think this is the same person, because why would you hire the same person from that show? I know people love him. People think like he is the Kingpin and everything. He's a great actor and all that. It's just, if you want to make your own Kingpin, then make your own Kingpin by getting a different actor. You know, I'm sure there are many other great actors out there that can give a good performance. But if you're bringing back the same person, then to me, that just shows that you want that more than anything. They want the one from the Netflix show. And so to me, it's the same guy. And even though he wasn't there much on the Hawkeye episode, from what I saw, nothing seemed that different other than the clothing.
No, yes. You're right. I fear, I don't know, there's enough wiggle room in there where maybe they're trying to do the thing that Marvel always does, which is distract us with, like, these big stars coming in. Like, there were subtle differences in this version of Kingpin, and the fact that they're not, you know, of course, Marvel never comes out and says anything one way or the other, which can be kind of aggravating, honestly. But I feel like maybe this could be Kevin Feige's subtle way of, like, telegraphing that whatever happened in the events of the Daredevil show are not going to play into it. Even though it is the same character, it's the same actor, and it's played the exact same way. And to me, it's not at all difficult to connect what happened in Daredevil, what's going on in Hawkeye. I mean, of course, the other parts of it that are just, like, irreconcilable are the fact that, you know, he's going to have to be toned down a little bit here and there in terms of the brutality of it, because this is Disney Plus and not Netflix. We've been saying that for months, so nobody should be surprised at that. I do wonder, though, what he was referring to when he said that there were things that could be connected to, but some things would not have been able to have been connected back to the Daredevil show. like, to me, my concern is, yeah, probably he's not sure one way or the other, or maybe he does know. Maybe he knows perhaps that they've decided to just pluck some people, but they're not going to acknowledge it. And I think that's kind of unfortunate if that's, again, what ends up happening, because you and I have gone on the record saying they're really, I don't know what calls for that, quite frankly. You know, I feel like if you really wanted to, it's not terribly difficult in the least to connect the events that happen in that show to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've said, I know everybody wants to throw out the excuse, well, Kevin Feige doesn't like to mess with other people's work. We just saw a movie when he did that. He really played in the sandbox with films that perhaps he may have been a producer on, but are not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know? And I'm sorry, that's just not a good enough excuse for me. Oh, because Kevin Feige has to have everything run by him. Somebody who, by the way, I feel is a really gifted producer, but also has tremendous, glaring flaws that nobody wants to, you know, even bother acknowledging. Because the thing with Feige is he always is able to, you know, pull a movie out of his ass, or like an Endgame or a No Way Home that has all of the little goodies and treats that, you know, his Marvel fans want in audiences. And once those happen, everybody forgets how bland Black Widow was. Everybody forgets that Shang-Chi really benefited from low expectations from Black Widow. Nobody wants to acknowledge that, but that's what it is. So whenever like they are able to hit one good one, everybody forgets and they just excuse all the other stuff. But Feige himself has made so many mistakes, at least as far as like the films are concerned, that he is fallible. He is not above criticism, and I just want to see more of that, you know? Real quick. I need to pause here because there is an airplane flying over.
No, now I can hear it.
Yeah. Okay. And no, I do not accept the criticism that Kevin Feige should have known better or that he gave Chloe Zhao too much control over the movie. Anybody, honestly, that thinks that the problems with Eternals was Chloe Zhao, I am sorry. But I think with anything you have to say after that, you're dismissed from my seriousness or what I take seriously. So that was my rant on that. But the whole thing going back to like the shows and everything, I don't accept it. And it also just feels kind of crummy and mean if you ask me. And I also want to loop in Hector Navarro's comments that I shared with you on Heroes Reforged in their reaction to the finale of Hawkeye, which is like, look, I can, if you want to play this, you know, this dance, this needless dance, by the way, of like never wanting to acknowledge what happened, fine. But as long as you don't contradict events that happen in those shows, please, he called on them to not contradict the events of those shows. Like one massive event that happened in the universe of Matt Murdock on Netflix was the fact that there was all these ancient dragon bones underneath New York City. And if the Hand was able to, you know, successfully excavate them, New York City would have completely been destroyed. There's no reason to negate that. That's the part where it bothers me, okay? I'm not that, like, precious enough where I need the events to be called out on screen. But when you go out of your way to introduce elements that really blatantly negate events and storylines and characters that happen in the other shows, that's where I'm turned off. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I get you. And also that idea of which you mentioned earlier of Kevin Feige not wanting to play with other people's stuff, then why bring back D'Onofrio at all? Like, if that's the case, again, like,
yeah, bitch, you didn't cast him, did you?
Yeah.
That was Jeff Loeb. Yeah. But I mean, no, I get what you mean. I
I would love it if this is the exact one from the Netflix show. But either way, though, even if it was, it's not going to be the same either way because Marvel MCU isn't a rated R type of studio and anything like that.
Supposedly, according to rumors, they're going to push the boundaries of how much they can get away with it in the upcoming Disney Plus show Moon Knight. They've been talking about, at least rumors, that that's going to be the most violent series that they've released on Disney Plus thus far. We'll see how that turns out.
All right.
All right. I guess we'll see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
I just know that this, I feel like this entire conversation and how people are, having these discussions amongst themselves online has really proven me right in terms of like what I suspected would be the case. And that is there would be this ambiguousness about Kingpin and Matt Murdock's entrance to like, because I'm sure people want, because of the fact that we have these two characters, they want to pull in the Daredevil show and count it canon. And for the record, I do, because I have already before these characters even like came on. I considered it as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because that's when I first saw that show. That's how it was, sold to me. That's how I was promised. And I do view it as an extension of the MCU, as well as other programs like Agent Carter, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like Jessica Jones. I do consider those shows to be in this continuity because I choose for it to be. But for the people in particular, and I'm not even sure if people is the right way of phrasing it, for popular opinion among certain fans that I would call canon Nazis, I would think that there is still enough, annoyingly so, wiggle room to where the ultimate canon status of the Daredevil TV show is going to continue to be called into question. Which, I don't know. To me, this entire thing is just annoying. And I guess if there's one thing I am glad as well, at least Daredevil can finally share a little bit of the treatment that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been getting this entire last year, where literally this show only exists to be discussed about depending on its canon and its canon status when it comes to the shows. Like just this past week, there were articles I shared with you. Although, to be fair, and we're always interested in being fair, there were some articles that were actually pretty good in pushing back against the narrative. Because lazily and stupidly, as we had called it last week, people were going to, latch onto the whole Mockingbird angle and use that to write a piece. Even though it's when you think about it for more than 2 seconds, you realize that's not really anything substantial, but okay. But shout out to Forbes and other outlets that really pushed back against that notion. Like, the fact that there was a mockingbird that really at never point was called Mockingbird. Either versions of them were called Mockingbird. Anyway, that's that. So in 2021, you saw a lot of shows, probably more than I did. I saw, I think, 5 old shows, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. I'm not doing this again. That's 3 fucking times. I'm not going to pause every 5 minutes for an airplane to fly back and forth. 2840. Okay. So 2021, there were a lot of shows in general. Old and new. And for me, how I usually am is I like to watch a lot of new shows, but I also like, take some time and, revisit certain shows that had not really been in my conscious for a long time. Like last year when we chose to revisit Avatar, right? That was just, seeing it after such a long period of time was like watching it for the first time again. And so this year, there definitely were those kind of experiences, as well as new shows. For me, I only saw 10 new shows. Actually, new-ish, but there were only 10 shows that qualified that had a new season of television in this year. So that's me. But as far as like other shows, what I have here, well, I don't know how you want to do this. Do you want to tell me how many shows you've seen this year?
Yeah, 45, actually.
What? Oh my God. Well, do you want to go and get things started then, since you have that? I'm going to assume you have 45 shows that had new seasons in 2021?
New seasons and just new shows in general.
God damn. Yeah, please.
Okay. So the first three, these are competition shows and docuseries.
Oh, yeah.
Baketopia and Lego Masters, both competition shows. One's about baking the Legos, and yeah, they were fun. It was nice seeing other people's artistic talents and all that. And honestly, like it's the Lego Masters one. It's just so cool what people can do with it. The other one is The Movies That Made Us. I feel like it had like 2 new seasons or something. I don't know. Could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, that's just a great show to watch, especially for people who love films. Oh wow, I was wrong. It's off. There's 2 more docuseries. This Is Pop. I don't know if you heard that one. It's basically going over all of music, pop culture, from rap, country, and all that. There was one with auto-tune, about auto-tune, how like that kind of changed the whole industry and everything. It was really, really good. Mm-hmm. That one's like for sure the must watch if you're even interested at all. And then Behind the Attraction, which is the Disney Plus show of all the rides, talking about all the rides.
Oh yeah,
it's fun. Yeah, it's great. And then, but yeah, so then the rest of the shows, it's basically my least favorite to my favorite.
Okay.
The Flash, number 40.
Whoa,
is The Flash.
Damn,
yeah,
that's bad.
Yeah.
This is season 7?
Is it?
Or 8?
I think so. I want to say 8. I could be wrong.
So why is it at the bottom?
It's just not interesting that much anymore. There was some cool stuff. I mean, I love the fact. No, wait, hold on. Hold on. I'm sorry. I was confusing it. Yeah, it just wasn't interesting anymore. I didn't care about the villain. I didn't. And just about the relationships between like Flash and his Iris. It's kind of getting stale at this point. There's nothing new going on.
So you got 7 seasons of it in. And please do not get triggered when I ask this question. It's just out of curiosity, because some people do, and it's not to suggest in any way that you should stop watching it. But if it's this low and if it's not really doing it for you, what is it about that you keep watching it? Only because you already been invested this many years, might as well finish the whole thing?
Yeah, I've been invested. It has to be like super, super bad if like I just stop watching it.
Like unwatchable, basically.
Yeah. I know there was, what is it, Midnight Texas? That one I stopped. Walking Dead, I stopped. It's just, I just didn't care about those shows at all. And so The Flash, I like the characters and all that. It's just, again, they keep going through the same arcs, I guess, in every season. They did start another season a couple of weeks ago. It was, because of COVID, kind of
that was season 8.
Yeah, the one, basically one that went on a couple of weeks ago was season 8. I think the one that I'm putting below is season 7. But season 8, it was interesting mostly because you got the reverse flashback, and he still kills it. The guy who played him in the first season, he kills it and all that. And there was some really cool moments, but we'll see what happens with the rest. I think they're just on hiatus, or not hiatus. I guess it's Christmas. They're not going to put new episodes on. But yeah.
So that was 45 or 40.
That was 40.
40.
Yeah. 39, Supergirl.
Whoa. CW is killing it this year.
Sadly, all the CW shows are bottom list.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 39 is Supergirl. 38 is Kung Fu. 37 is Legends of Tomorrow.
Damn, they're all at the bottom, huh?
Yeah, The Flash is the one that's most disappointing. The rest of them, they're interesting. It's just, it really is mostly just it's not as good as the rest of the shows that I'm going to be talking about. Right. But yeah, Supergirl, it was its final season. I think it was a good send-off. It was fine, really. Kung Fu is a new show. Girl learning about, I guess, her family history, and she has cool kung fu powers and all that. It's just fun. Legends of Tomorrow it's just still my favorite CW show, honestly. They're always so great, those characters, and that one I could just keep watching it. I don't care how crazy it gets. 36, Jupiter's Legacy. That's a Netflix show.
Didn't it get canceled?
Probably. I don't know.
I think I remember hearing about that one. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it kind of sucks. It ended on a cliffhanger. But I mean, I feel like this show, though, I feel like it kind of tackled the whole idea of whether or not they should kill the bad guys or just bring them to justice. It kind of tackled that conversation a lot better than other stuff I've seen. It was cool. 35, Monsters at Work. That's the Disney Plus show.
I completely forgot this even existed.
Yeah, I mean, that was
somewhere in the world. Alexis Moreno is screaming into the thin air.
Seriously, from 36 and up, I really did like these shows. It's just you'll understand why they're kind of this low when I explain it. But yeah, Monsters at Work. It's just fun. It's a funny show. I really like the connections they made from Monsters Inc. and Monsters University and all that. That was fun. 34. What If? Yeah. I mean, we reviewed the show. It was, again, it's
once or twice.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I like those versions that they made up. Yeah, it's cool. 33, The Mysterious Benedict Society. This is also a Disney Plus show. You probably never heard of it at all, huh?
No.
Yeah. No. It's just about this guy who hires a group of kids to infiltrate this school where he thinks someone's there to manipulate the world to thinking that the world is ending, or just kind of forcing people to believe that just something bad is about to happen. I don't know that much to explain it, but what I liked about it, though, is just if you've seen what's it called, a series of unfortunate events that was on Netflix. It had a similar comedy, similar cinematography and editing and all that. So that's kind of what I liked about it and what got my attention, really. And yeah, I actually really liked the kids, the main characters. They're really, really cool. I really like the characters. 32, 911. This is a recurring season. It's on Fox. Just you're following a 911 operator, but also the first responders who tackle certain cases. I like the characters. I like the family drama. And honestly, I actually think the seasons get better every time. I think
that's good.
Maybe third or fourth season now. 31, The Blacklist. Another recurring season. This one had, oh my gosh, I always forget his name.
James Spader?
Yeah, him. This one has him in it. He's always
That show is still going on?
It
What
is.
season is it?
Oh my gosh. I want to say 8 on that one too.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
I should probably check it just in case. But yeah, that one though, like, I feel like that one is kind of going on a bit too long. Not because of like what the characters are going through. It's just that the mystery of James Spader's character just kind of like, okay, what else can you fucking do? Like, what more can you do with this character that just keeps putting on this mystery?
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know, it's just kind of like, wrap it up. Yeah, season 8. And honestly, it's just so funny though, because like every time I see new episodes on Netflix, I'm like, oh wow, it's still going on. Okay. But yeah, it's a cool investigative show. And it's so worth it just for James Spader. 30, Manifest. This one.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it. I started watching it because it was trending on Netflix.
It really was for a couple of weeks there.
Yeah, it was really trending. And then because part of it was because it got canceled, I guess. So I started like, fuck it, I'll watch it. And got caught up with it. And I really liked it. It was great mystery, like what the heck happened to them, what keeps happening to them afterwards, and all that. There's just like this one minor complaint. I don't think it's much spoilers, but like, obviously they want to investigate what happened to them. So you got like I think it was a CIA agent who was trying to investigate him, and then that guy ended up working with the main characters, people who disappeared from the plane. And every time he tells him like, hey, don't do this, let's go by the book. Let's, let me work on it. He's a CIA agent. He knows how to like kind of put this under the rug if they have to and all that. But then they keep doing the opposite of what he's telling them, and he keeps getting them into trouble. And like, that just keeps happening every season. And I'm like, can you guys listen to him, please? And just once.
Right.
So that's just like a super annoying thing that happens in the show. But other than that, I like the characters. It has the guy from Once Upon a Time, the guy who played Prince Charming. I really like his character.
Yeah, Josh Dallas.
Yeah, he's great. Mm-hmm.
Didn't it get brought back, though? It did get renewed for a new season.
I think so. I think Netflix did get the rights to it, and hopefully there's a new season. It ended on a cliffhanger, major cliffhanger. So I can't wait to see.
It was a weird story because it was canceled, and then because of the demand, it was brought back from the dead.
Yeah, it was canceled, and then it was like basically no hope to it that like it was going to come back because at that point it was fully canceled, and if Netflix wanted them, they had to like really pay them. Like, they couldn't just kind of they basically like had to like pay them more than what they did in the last season and all that, and but because of the demand, they were like, fuck it, might be worth it.
Right.
29, The Nevers. This is a HBO Max show about a bunch of people with powers, kind of like an X-Men type of deal, but it takes place like, I don't know, 16th century, 18th century. I don't know what the year was, what century it was. But it was, I mainly like what the characters were going through. So I'm seeing each people's powers and just kind of like seeing them fight for just kind of their freedom because, just people with powers, like what the fuck is happening? Mm-hmm. It did get kind of confusing towards the end because there's like time travel involved in everything. And I'm kind of like, ooh, you're getting weird here. What the fuck is going on? I feel like I heard that it got canceled. I'm not sure, but I really like the first season. 28, The Irregulars. This is a Netflix show. This one is weird premise, but Watson, the guy from Sherlock Holmes story, he hires a bunch of kids to investigate deaths that he thinks might have a supernatural element to it. Mm-hmm. And I just really liked it. I mean, I had like I mostly like the main characters, how they were solving the mysteries and all that, and what kind of their backstories and everything, and how how he came up with the idea to hire these kids is very, very interesting. I think it's definitely worth the watch. It's has cool supernatural stuff in it, cool investigative stuff, and like what happens with Sherlock Holmes. I mean, I feel like a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. You might not like it, but I thought it was really, really interesting. And to me, it seems kind of right for the character. 27, The Bad Batch. Yeah, I mean, we did another review of this too. Great animation. I love the characters. Yeah. Where am I? Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. 26, Shadow and Bone. Another Netflix show based off a book. Just gained some popularity for a bit. But it was an interesting world and all that. It was fine. 25, Lock and Key. I mentioned this before on a podcast, but I really liked the first season, mostly because of the family dynamic. This one, they did it way better. These characters, like, they really care about each other. They're a real family and all that. And I think the villain was really interesting. I really liked the guy playing the villain. I feel like that guy has potential to like really do a lot more. I hope he like just gets more. I can't remember his name, but if you've seen the show, you know who I'm talking about. But yeah, it's this one's definitely worth the watch. It's a fun premise. Kids finding these keys as like magical powers, and then they start using them for fun. Some for fun, but it gets into dangers. And it had like a really good ending in the second season. I love what they did with this one character. I hope they stick to it, hopefully. But yeah, if there's a third season, please, I'll love it. So 24, 23, and 22 is Loki, Hawkeye, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Loki is last.
Yeah.
Then Hawkeye, then Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
That is very interesting. Those are shows that we devoted a lot of our time to this year.
Yeah.
So much of our time to. That's an interesting order.
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting. Loki at the bottom of it. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean,
it hasn't aged well, it seems.
Yeah, basically. I mean, if I compared it through the 4 shows, you know, WandaVision and Falcon and all that, it really is my least favorite. I liked Loki in it and all that. It's just, I think it mostly had to do with the ending. I didn't like that. The ending was
it is such a drag on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it dragged on for way too long, and I don't like the endedness of it. I know people complain about that with Hawkeye a bit, but to me,
open-endedness. I mean, it was open-endedness. Look, the thing is, Hawkeye had open-endedness for the season 1 of a show that is going to go forward. Season finales, generally speaking, for one reason or the other, do leave things open-endedness.
Mm-hmm.
Hawkeye had a conclusion for the story that was being told for the characters then and there. Yes, it teased more to come, but it was the bookend of a chapter, which is the season in television language. When it came to Loki, that is the definition of leaving everything up in the air and everything open-ended. And the fact is, the finale spent literally no time whatsoever into the characters that we were here for. It was a commercial for the multiverse. Everything was stopped so that Jonathan Majors could monologue at us and tell us things that we already suspected were going on in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry, that really it just enraged me. God, the open-endedness of it. I mean, come on. You can't get more open-ended than Loki. You really can't.
Yeah. Hawkeye and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I like it better than Hawkeye just because I really like Sam as a character more. And I feel like he just had like a lot more of a character development in this season because, you know, he's taking on the mantle of Captain America and all that. Yeah. And so I just kind of found that pretty interesting. And then Bucky's story of, you know, trying to move on without Steve, trying to move on, you know, with like forgiving himself, I guess, of being the Winter Soldier and all that. To me, that just sounds more interesting stuff. Hawkeye had like a similar story where he tried to move on without Black Widow, also trying to kind of like forgive himself for what he done and all that. It's just, I guess, the dynamic between Falcon and Winter Soldier was a lot more fun in the end. But yeah. 21, Masters of the Universe Revelations.
And I believe they've already finished the season, right?
Yeah, I think it might have been a couple of weeks, and boy, did people talk about that show.
Yeah, we talked about it on a show earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I remember I mentioned, Kevin Smith said that it was all about, He-Man and all that. And I said, based on the first 5 episodes, that I believe him. Technically, it is about He-Man. It's about him, about what happens to his friends when he is gone. That's basically it. The next 5 episodes, though, yeah, I never really defended him much, saying that he was telling the truth, that I believe him and all that. But he lied. The next 5 episodes was all about Tila and her becoming, spoilers, by the way, but it's 10 episodes. You can watch them easily. It's all about her becoming the next sorceress of the world and all that. And yeah, it was basically about her. I didn't mind that. I don't really care. And then some people would, oh my gosh, people complain, oh my gosh, it was just a therapy session in the last 5 episodes. But those therapy sessions got me to care about those characters. I've never seen the original show, never seen any other of the shows, whatever. So those therapy sessions were absolutely great for me.
Film Twitter is just rattled with so many brain dead and garbage takes, but this whole thing about therapy session, that is storytelling. That is character development. For anybody to just dwindle that, diminish that to just like, oh, it's a therapy session. It's like, well, can we get to the real stuff? Idiot. That's storytelling. That's what we're here for. Like, a lot of people were saying that, wow, like, can you believe that Marvel has when they were referring to Loki and WandaVision and Falcon, like, wow, they've had like whole episodes where they felt like a therapy session.
No, they said that they were just sitting and talking. That was their complaint.
You people have no idea how storytelling works, and it shows. Like, oh my fucking god. Oh my god. Anyway. Continue.
Yeah. But either way, that show, I enjoyed it. Animation's great. And yeah, I did have some problems with the people. There was something with Skeletor, the main villain that he did. I was just kind of like, really? And then something happened with Tila as her becoming the sorceress that I was just kind of like, this makes kind of no sense, but we'll see what happens next season, if there is one. But, I enjoyed it, people. It didn't even make my top 20, though, either way. So, whatever. Number 20, Demon Slayer. The season is still going on, but like, I already know I'm gonna love it. The first season was like absolutely fucking great. Great animation, better than Masters of the Universe. That's why it's on top, because it just has a different combination of art styles. It's not similar to Arcane, but like, Arcane did have similar animation styles. Mm-hmm. There's the same thing with Demon Slayer. Awesome animation. I love the world. I love the characters, and just has great action. Yeah, worth the watch. 19, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Its final season came out.
Wow,
it was great. It was so funny. It's like, oh my gosh, it's just hilarious. I love these characters so much. The main character Jake, his development throughout the show was my favorite, from this like childish, this man child basically, to the end where he is a child, but like he's taking on more responsibilities that he feels is right for him, for his family, and all that. And it's just, I love the character. I teared up when the scene with him and his captain
Andre Braugher.
Yeah, with him, those two, I teared up so much. Oh my God. It was so good. And hilarious show. Seriously. Go and watch it, especially the last season, because I had to deal with COVID and with the riots and all that. You know, they did a lot of stuff that happened with 2020. It was great. 18, The Mighty Ducks Game Changers. This is a Disney Plus show.
Didn't it end? There was controversy, wasn't there?
Was there?
Oh, continue what you were saying.
I mean, I don't know about controversy, but like, what got my attention though is that what I like about it is the main kid, he's trying to try out for the Mighty Ducks team and all that, but then the coach is all, you're not that good, kid. You know, might as well quit now playing hockey. And the mom's just like, the fuck did you just say to my kid? So she tries to make her own hockey team. And so, yeah, it's an underdog story and all that. And it was really good. I really like the characters. I never saw the original movie. But even then though, like I understood kind of like what the importance was, I guess, for the Mighty Ducks name and all that. And it's great. 17, Star Wars Visions. Yeah, I mean, it was fun, really, honestly. I really liked that they tried to make an approach for different stories of Star Wars, of the Star Wars universe and all that. There was really only one episode that I really disliked. I think it might have been the second or third. I don't know. It was like the twins one. But yeah, it's just, again, I really like the approach they took with this, trying to make different animation styles, different stories for this universe. And I don't know, I wouldn't mind if they somehow expanded upon this, or just keep making more seasons. 16, The Witcher. I literally just finished this.
Yeah, I just dropped, basically.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I literally finished it like right before we started recording.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. I really liked the first season. Henry Cavill was great. Slight nitpick. He's doing something with his voice. Like he's kind of like almost like a growling voice, almost in a way. It's just it feels kind of weird for me. But either way, though, he's giving a great performance, and I really like the main characters. Him, Yennefer, and Cersei. No, I can't remember her name. But yeah, what they go through is it's really, really great. Bit of a slow burn in terms of the entire plot. Like the last episode, like really kicked it into high gear, like bringing everything together and all that. But I think it was great, and it actually got me excited for if there's going to be a next season. 15, Lucifer, another show that ended.
Oh yeah.
This one, I love Lucifer stories. Just what they did with the Lucifer, I guess story, and how they changed it up, and his character development of kind of learning who he is, what kind of person he is, and trying to move in a place outside of his family, basically, becoming his own man in a way. Slight problems with the plot. There was time travel involved, and I was just kind of like, I feel like there's a way you could have fixed all this, but either way, though, I love where all the characters ended up in the end, and it's just a good ending for both. I mean, you can kind of either way, it's a happily ever after ending that I think it's definitely worth watching. I think the first 2 seasons, yeah, there's like a bunch of episodes, but the guy playing Lucifer, he's the best. He's very charming in the show. He's hilarious in the show. He's the reason why I kept watching, not just because of his performance, but also the character. 14, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. Yeah. It was like number 2 or something last year on my list. This season, it was still great. Definitely worth the watch. Just what they tackled with depression and mental health and all that, and just and it's just good fun with the music. And some might find it cringy at moments, but other than that, though, it's a great show. That's definitely worth the watch. 13, Reservation Dogs. This one's a Hulu. This one's it was really just funny. This is very new to me, the kind of show where you're following these kids that live in an Indian reservation. So it really is just something new that I think is worth the watch, that everyone should watch, honestly. But yeah. Number 12, Stargirl. This one is a CW show, actually. I forgot. It was originally DC Universe and all that, but yeah, I forgot the CW show. And it's very different from the ones that I mentioned at the bottom of the list. But yeah, these characters, they're fun. I love the effort that they're putting in this show, honestly. And one great thing, short episodes. I think there was only like 10 episodes, maybe more or less.
Oh, really?
And they're kind of it looks like they're keeping it in sections, because at the end, there was like this little cliffhanger, but then this current season, it was like Stargirl, Summer School or something like that. And then now the next season, they're going to call it Stargirl, Frenemies, something like that. So they're kind of putting into sections, I guess, each season, and it's really good. Again, they're putting in a lot of effort. There was this one action scene that they were trying to have fun with, like editing it and all that, just trying to make it I don't know, congruent. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, it's fun. 11, Lupin. This is a very short show. I think it's worth the watch for people, but this is just about a guy whose dad got framed for stealing this diamond necklace or something, and he just kind of wants to get the guy who framed him. And it's very good. He's a great thief, basically, this main character. And it's worth the watch for the plot of it, and just kind of what he goes through. And I really root for him. So yeah, now my top 10. Number 10, Maya and the Three. This one just has some awesome animation. Honestly, I really liked it. It's almost similar to, what is that? That Day of the Dead one, not Coco. The
Book of Life.
Book of Life. Yeah, they're not like wooden or anything, the characters, but like they're just the way the bodies were, the way their bodies looked. It looked very similar to that, and yeah, they just had some fun with the animation and the world of it. It was really like big scale, kind of like Last Airbender scale and all that. My only problem was that there was this romantic side story going on, and I feel like it just kind of moved too fast. But other than that, it's definitely worth a watch. It's funny. I love the characters, and worth it. 9, My Hero Academia. I actually wasn't gonna put this in my top 10, but then they did something super fucking interesting that it's like, I feel like a lot more people should watch it just for what they did. So for My Hero Academia, it's about this kid who's going to a high school to become one of the best superheroes. And what got me super interested in this season, though, is that there was this one superhero who they were giving a redemption story. And I feel like it'll really split the people as to whether he should be redeemed or not. But this guy, he was basically abusive to his family and his wife and all that. So much so that the wife went to like a mental hospital. It got bad. And they were trying to give him a redemption story. For one thing, the kids, they straight up told him, like, I am never going to forgive you for what you did to mom, how you raised us and everything. But the thing, though, is that this superhero, he was number 2, but then became number 1, but by default, because the other guy had to retire. So he's basically the number 1 superhero in the world. And if you're number 1, it's it's not because you're the most popular or anything. No, it's like if you're number one, it is a guarantee that you are saving lives, that you care about these people, you are willing to risk your life for the world, you know? And so it's just, even to me, like I'm still debating, like, God damn, like you really are a hero. But what you did is just like, it's fucked up. And so it's just very interesting. I think it's worth watching just for that, just to catch up with that. I think it's on this 4th season. You know, it's 4th. There's a new one coming out. And I don't know, just, I feel like more people should watch it, and just kind of, I would love to hear more people's thoughts on that. But other than that, though, the world is great. The way they explain like what it means, what you have to do to be a great hero, and what it means to be a great hero. It's a very, very interesting conversation, and ideas that they bring up. Definitely worth a watch. Number 8, Attack on Titan. Wow, they were killing it in this last season. And I mean, seriously, like it was what they were bringing up about war, you know, and sins of the father and all that. It's just super fucking interesting. And just from what you see in the main character in the beginning to now, it subverted my expectations. I'll say that. This one's for sure worth a watch. Just very, very interesting concepts in this one. Number 7, WandaVision. Yeah, this one. I love Wanda and Vision. I love both those characters. And WandaVision. I get it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I said this before. Like what she went through, you know, I feel like there was a lot to use with her. And I love what she went through in this season, just trying to basically get over everything that happened to her. And it was a great show. It was a funny show. And that line in the show will forever be my favorite, with the whole, what is grief if not love persevering? Oh, it really like did it for me. Yeah. To put in the top 10, honestly. I know we had our problems with the final episode, but either way though, I love what she went through. And we'll see what happens to her in Doctor Strange. Some people were complaining though, because like Doctor Strange comes up to her and she goes, I did some bad things. And he's like, I'm not here to talk about
those people. Can go to fucking hell. They did not hold Tony Stark accountable whatsoever. You know, when he did similarly like just bad shit. So I'm not going to even entertain that over again. Oh yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Exactly.
Not even that though. It's like, it's not whatever. Like the fucking multiverse is in danger, so he needs help, you know? Like what she did can wait. I mean, who knows what's gonna happen in the end, but whatever. Number 6.
I mean, seriously, people are still on that whole thing about, you know, Wanda did a bad thing and she should be punished. Where are those people with Hawkeye? What about like the how many people did he kill as the Ronin? I guess that was forgiven, and that was literal murder. That was literal vigilantism, right? Ain't that a crime? Ain't that bad? Where are those people right now? Didn't Loki make a whole career out of killing for fun? But you see how he was rehabilitated and nobody was complaining about that. Give me a fucking break.
Number 6, Superman and Lois. I mean, I just love it because this is a Superman that I like.
That's a rare beast.
God, sorry, Henry Cavill, but there was problems. But yeah, honestly, this is just a great family show. Superman learning to be a dad, Lois Lois was just kind of like, she was being investigative. There's like stuff going on in Smallville and everything, and just everything, you know, trying to balance that out too. It was super cool to watch. And then the kids, one of them has powers, and so they had to kind of like learn to adjust. One has to like really cover for his brother. The other one just has to control his powers, and what he goes through, it's difficult for him and all that. But yeah, it's a great family show. Can't wait for season 2. Whoop. especially because of the ending. Ooh, I'm really interested in the ending. Number 5, Invincible. Yeah, I mean, the season was great and I loved it. My love is mostly just because of the comics. I finished the whole run.
Did
and
you?
I'm so excited if they just keep going till the end.
Yeah.
Especially if like, you know, there were some improvements from the comics into the show and all that. Just it is fantastic. Number 4, Lost in Space. Another show with its final season.
Damn.
Yeah. This one it's 3 seasons. So fucking worth the watch. There's another great family show. I care about the family and all that. The sci-fi aspect of it is so fucking great. It feels like, for me, like they really do get into the science of everything, between shuttles and the planets that they go to and all that. Just everything that they go through. It's so fun to watch and how they figure it out. Just trying to survive, basically. But yeah, watch the show. God damn it. Number 3, Squid Game.
Oh yeah, I forgot this was a thing. I kind of blocked this shit out.
I mean, this is just an incredible show. I don't even know how to like start. It's just, I mean, the concept was insane. What all the characters went through was insane, but it's just, oh God, I really don't know how to put it into words. It is really incredible. Number 2, Arcane. This one, incredible animation. I mentioned it before. But yeah, I mean, you guys did a whole podcast about it. It's just incredible characters, a world that I'm so interested in. And I talked to some classmates of mine. They know about the video game and it gets me, and I got excited by like what's to come with some of these characters and all that.
Really?
But yeah, I mean, really, the biggest thing for me is just the animation. Like it just seemed like they had like a lot of fun with it, going from, I think, just adding like some 2D stuff to it and all that. But yeah, awesome show. Number 1, Sweet Tooth. This is, you have no idea, huh?
What?
Yeah, Sweet Tooth.
I never heard of this in my life. What is this?
Really? It came out this year. It's like brand new, but like, so this one is about a disease is going around the world. It's just, you know, killing people off left and right. And at the same time that happened, babies are being born part animal. You know, the main character, he was born with antlers and everything. But there's some that, like, you know, the animal side just like really takes over. Like they can't even talk. They're just making the.
That sounds horrific.
Yeah, and you know, it's. I mean, the whole thing is just scary because of the disease, but also because of like what's happening with the kids. Like, how the fuck do you raise someone like that? But if I had to describe this show, like, just imagine Peter Pan set in a post-apocalyptic world.
Okay, and this is what this is.
Yeah, that's basically like the best way I can describe the show. The main character, you know, he's very hopeful. He's trying to look for his mom and all that. And I fell in love with the show right from the first episode, honestly. It's just the ending of him going off on an adventure where you know it's going to be dangerous. You know he could die like just at any moment. But it really is like, I'm not kidding you. Like, this is the most hopeful show I've seen ever, and I saw it in a great time, you know, because this was in the beginning of 2021, and so we just kind of got right off in the 2020 with just bad shit going on, and this is just a great show to watch, honestly.
And here we are 12 months later.
Yeah, that's my list.
That's a lot of TV shows. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah,
honestly, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, for me, let's go ahead and start off with shows that I took some time to rewatch. First was, and some of the things I've already touched on in previous shows, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But Modern Family, I went back and saw that for the first time. Excuse me, I went back and revisited that for the first time in a long time, as well as Malcolm in the Middle, and Stranger Things, and then the big one, and some of these I've already discussed at length. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. And those were so much fun to really go back and revisit. It was just, God, it was just exciting. It's like, this is just stuff, in particular with the Dragon Ball stuff, and it's like I saw those such a long time ago, but to revisit those, it was like watching them again for the first time. It was just excellent stuff. Now, on to the new shows. So, I mean, the shows for this year. Yeah, I only saw 10. That's a far cry from 45, but it's just like, yeah, I had, thankfully, more movies this year, so that's why I had less time for TV shows. And then, of course, the other shows that I was rewatching, so... And that's not to say, of course, like, a lot of the time, a lot of the content and media that I consume also is on YouTube. Like, other podcasts and channels that I listen to, so... By the way, what is your sister watching? Because I consistently keep hearing her laugh through my sides. I can only imagine. Like, what is? Do you know what's going on?
No, it's just talking with my dad. I think they're on the phone with someone. So
okay, so yeah, she's clearly having a ball. I can keep hearing her laugh. All right, so these are the 10 shows that I watched this year, and I'm going to rank them. Here's the number 10 one. What If? Because yeah. What If is fine. There were some episodes that were really fun. Really, really fun. And that's just about it. For a Marvel Multiverse show, this isn't all that exciting. I mean, it's pretty standard. And the animation isn't all that great. I mean... It looks good enough, but it doesn't set itself apart enough from anything else to be visually dazzling or different in any way whatsoever. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that one. And number 9, Star Wars: The Bad Batch. Now, this does have beautiful animation. Like it takes it's that Clone Wars style animation, but like it continues to improve as the years go by. I genuinely do like the dynamic of the Bad Batch's characters, and I especially love the introduction of Omega. And yeah, I'm entertained by those characters to where I watched a lot of the episode. I watched the whole season. I didn't watch it week to week because I'm not sure I warranted a week to week watch. But as a season of TV that you binged, by the end of it, I was like, I really enjoyed this. And it's the most I've been able to enjoy any Star Wars content in quite some time. You know, as saddened as I am to say that. I mean, I just watched Boba Fett yesterday. But could I really care on any level whatsoever compared to anything going on in Bad Batch? No, not even close. That's not me saying Boba Fett's terrible. I never said The Mandalorian as a whole is terrible. I think there are aspects of it that are awful, but it just isn't what I look for in Star Wars. It just isn't. By the way, Boba Fett is basically Mandalorian Season 3. It is indistinguishable from Mandalorian in every way. Did you see it?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I think I'm the only one. It's hilarious how none of us, the rest of the people in this panel just, they're trying to avoid it as long as they could. With good reason, I would say. This one's controversial. Number 8, Loki. Yeah, this one really hurts because when we got to episode 4, holy shit, this show is firing on all cylinders. And I'm talking about that episode where, you know, they confronted the fake timekeepers, and then like Mobius died and a whole bunch of stuff. Like that was genuinely electric and exciting. And at that point, like, I felt like, man, this could be the best of the Disney Plus shows, of the Marvel Disney Plus shows. And as fate would have it, here it is, number 8 at the bottom of all of them. I'm sorry, but I think the ending just drove it into a ditch. To me, the problems with it is, by the time I got to episode 5, I felt like a lot of key moments were rushed. We needed definitely a few more episodes here and there. And then the finale, that has to be one of the single worst season finales I've ever seen. And it is because it ignores the main storylines and the main characters that we had devoted such time to. And it takes the entire time talking about this massive thing that's going to happen, and then it does, and it resolves absolutely nothing. It is that bad of a season finale that it just, like, it brings down the rest of the show to where I just don't care anymore. And that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Number 7, I'm going to put Falcon and the Winter Soldier here because I will, and again, this may be because I just recently saw Hawkeye, but to address Hawkeye, which is at number 6, Falcon and the Winter Soldier I enjoyed quite a bit, and I think it had a lot more positives than it had its downsides. But I guess to me, with Hawkeye, which is a much lighter series, but with me, what really resonated with Hawkeye is all of the emotional moments with Clint, and I definitely enjoyed Clint and Kate as a duo. Like, for me, I was so much more invested in that emotionally anyway than I was with Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was good, but looking back on it, I'm not sure ultimately how much the events of that show made much of an impact on me, to whereas with Hawkeye, yes, technically maybe nothing here really is as interesting than as opposed to Falcon or Loki, but it's the characters and the connection made through those characters that I just care so much more about them than I do the other ones. So that's a little bit of a curveball right there. So Falcon, Winter Soldier at 7, and then Hawkeye at number 6. Again, the only thing with, although Hawkeye really, I felt, was able to wrap everything up that it was dealing with in the cleanest way possible. Like, we know, we just spoke about it last week, but just like looking at reaction videos, like, the more I'm convinced that the finale of Hawkeye was the best finale of all the Disney Plus shows. It didn't fumble on anything. I felt like it really delivered on what the season ultimately, and it was juggling a lot. It was juggling Echo, Yelena Belova, Kingpin, a lot of like characters I don't even think I expected myself that we'd be dealing with in this show. And it was able to, to me anyway, bring a satisfying end to all of it. And I don't think I can say the same about all the other ones. I think Falcon had the second best one, only because of like, there wasn't that much of a mess up, but there were, it wasn't necessarily all that special. That's where I'm at. So those are numbers 10 through 6. Man, Alexis keeps laughing.
I know, I'm like muting my mic so you don't hear her, but like, so as I unmute it,
like, shut up! I'm kidding. Should have no respect for the recording process. At number 5, I have Arcane, League of Legends.
Number 5?
Yeah. Dang. Yeah. No, Arcane, I love. These 5 shows here, like, to me, let me just be clear. The top 5 and the bottom 5 are like worlds apart. So we're taking a big jump in quality and as far as like investment from number 6 to number 5. Arcane, which is the one that I think I saw recently out of all of these. Yeah, we did a whole podcast on this one. I love this ensemble. The animation is just to die for. It is next level. It is next world. The storytelling is impeccable. Like, it is just simply a must watch. One of the best shows of the year. I'm not going to say one of the best animated shows. It's one of the best shows, period. It is definitely worth watch. And there's so much going on, and it's able to balance it out so nicely. It's able to balance it out, a large cast, so many events in just 9 episodes. Now that is a tall order. It really is, and a lot of shows can't do it that well, but it was able to do it so well. A hell of a cliffhanger. And in and of itself, while it gave us that wonderful cliffhanger, it was able to bring several of the main storylines to a close for this season. Like one of my favorite characters of the show is Silco. I love Silco, and that finale that we had with him and Jinx was, oh Jesus, oh God, it's so good, so good. But I also haven't had as much time to live with this one as the other ones, the other 4 that I think I view far more favorable. So number 4, I got Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is such a feel-good comfort show, and season 2 really leaned into, it being in some aspects a full-blown comedy, but it's still more of the same, if not better. It's like, it is a show that is like really found its voice and is really confident in the stories that it wants to tell. And we have a lot of these fan favorite characters, and they all get something really interesting to do here that really just continues to elevate this series. It is some of the most emotional moments really have come from Ted Lasso season 2. It's just such a great comfort show, and we need more of those shows, really do, especially in this time of the pandemic. Okay. Hold on, David. Something just happened where my whole thing just crashed. Okay. Now, so yeah, Arcane on Netflix, Ted Lasso on Apple Plus, now on Amazon Prime. Number 3, Invincible. Arcane is perfect, but I think what was missing in it just a little bit. I did have a lot of emotional investment in the characters in Arcane, but not as much as I did with Invincible. Just oh my God. I don't like those last 2 episodes. I mean, the whole season was outstanding. Those last 2 episodes were a gut punch. Like a serious gut punch. And it was like, I was left at the end feeling like, oh my God, this shit is fucking spectacular. I love all the characters. But especially I love our main character. This is a show where I feel yes, our main character is the most interesting character. There are a whole host of interesting characters going on here, but it's just like, it brings it all to a wonderful conclusion. And, oh man, the things that it's able to get away with, that body count, that brutality, the devastation is just like one of the most memorable moments, I would say, this whole year was watching the final moments of that first episode and just being like jaw on the floor with watching Omni-Man kill all of the Guardians and just like, wait, what?
What kind of show is this?
What kind of show is this? Oh, man. So, yeah, Invincible. At number 2, I have the master himself at work, Mike Flanagan, and his series this year was Midnight Mass.
I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot.
It's fine. But Midnight Mass is as brutal as Invincible was. As brutal as it was. The ending of this show, like, I'm telling you, David, if you thought the ending of No Way Home was depressing, well, this show ends with everything literally on fire and everybody dies. No, that's not true. Some people live. I'm not going to tell you who lives. But, oh, geez, this is I don't want to get, well, how far along did you get into this series?
I think episode 2.
Okay, then you have no idea. Okay. So a lot of this is really wrapped around the imagery of, people of faith, Catholicism, and it all takes place in this island where, they're kind of like past their heyday. And suddenly miracles start to happen, and the source of it is truly some of the most surprising stuff I've seen ever. I know people really can take it or leave it depending on how they respond to Mike Flanagan's work, but it's definitely a lot of long-winded monologues. I don't mind that. I know some people do. But some stuff that we see here is just truly harrowing and, just some of the best filmmaking I've seen ever. So that's Midnight Mass. Number 1 is WandaVision. There really was nothing, I think, this year that touched WandaVision in terms of like what a moment it was as a television show. All of us seemed like it's the only show where our entire group, went out of our way to see together at the same time, when they were airing new episodes. It was just so captivating. For me, what made me really fall in love with the series was it put the characters first. It put the romance and the love that Wanda envisioned above anything else. And that's what I want more of with Marvel stories, is to prioritize that over gimmicks or setting up the next story. For the most part, that's what the focus was. And it was wrapped around this beautiful aesthetic of it being an homage to the days of, the old days of television. It was riffing on sitcoms, of which I myself have always been a fan of. And it was just so much fun turning on the show every week and going through the decades and seeing how, just perfectly they were able to capture all of those eras. In and of it was such a big thing with me. Like, that was the thing around that time of year that was giving me such just like pure hope, was because this show was so good and it was giving me something to look forward to, and it rekindled my love for the sitcom that I went back to go see Modern Family, The Nanny, Malcolm in the Middle, and other shows that I continue to plan to see, and it can all be traced back to what happened here with WandaVision. I know the finale had problems, but I can overlook them because in the finale, it still brought it home to a really emotionally gut-punching conclusion. That is the tragedy of Wanda and Vision. Ultimately, the only way and it delivered on that ending, I would say, just at least on the stakes of like, well, it really wasn't a happy ending at all. It still kind of ended in tragedy as it began. We've gone at length about what more issues there would be and are with it, but I think looking back on it, WandaVision not only is it's by far and away my favorite TV show of 2021, and I'm not one that's going to put it in a list of movies, but when it comes to projects that have come out of the MCU this year, WandaVision towers above the rest, and it's not even close. But that's just me.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
Yeah, I know all the tweets out there like, oh, look at how much Marvel content we got in 2021. All of these people, by the way, were the ones that said, wow, we got nothing from Marvel in 2020. You did. You just chose to ignore it. That's just a lie, but whatever. So those are all my favorite shows.
Yeah. Good picks. Yeah, but honestly, I think this is a really good year for shows. I mean, you guys already heard my list, but good season finales. Even though Supergirl was at the bottom, like I still like the finale on that show. But yeah, and then I'm very excited for the new ones.
Yeah, because next year, the first thing we're starting off with, it looks like, is what do you know? The Book of Boba Fett.
Oh yeah. I'll probably watch it when it's over.
Well, thank you all so much for listening to our show today, and we want to also thank you for listening to our podcast for this year. It's been an interesting time to be alive these last 2 years. But thankfully, there's been a lot of wonderful content in the world of TV and the world of movies that have been able to keep, sustaining these conversations and our podcast going. And we're very grateful for that. And we're also grateful for those of you who do listen. We will have more content well into 2022. Don't worry, Red Spotlight ain't going anywhere anytime soon, unless one of us drops dead. Fingers crossed. And everything. Thank you all so much, and we will see you next time. Stay under our spotlight. Bye-bye.
Bye.